echo. There
Good,
we are.
good deal. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to M&M Exhibition Poultry Talking Chickens number 55, coming to you live as far as we know. It's Thursday, February 19th, 2026, about 6 o'clock in the evening in the Eastern Time Zone. With us today is Mr. Ethan Pullen from the Poultry Hub and has the show management software. And we're going to do demonstrations and answer questions tonight. This will be part one of a two-part series. We'll see when the next one is, but you'll have fair warning. Matt may have that, but I'm going to ride along because I'm on a this is a makeshift thing I'm doing here, and nothing seems to be working right. So I know that I'm delayed, and I'll talk over them or they'll talk over me. So I want to thank our sponsors before we get started. Rozier Poultry Supplies, Eagle Nest Hatchery, where I'm sitting right now, and we're an affiliate for Hatching Time Products. It's that time of year, folks. If you need incubators and hatchers or anything else, go to Hatching Time Products. Take a look. Use our link that will be included in these all over the place. You get $25 off your order. And for anything else you need, or if you need a different kind of incubator, Rozier Poultry Supplies, they have everything you need ever need. They have poultry, they have pigeons, supplies. They have a little bit of everything, including Tony's Treasures that we were talking about last time. And with that, Ethan, welcome.
Hello. Thanks everyone for jumping on. Today we're going to go through the Poultry Hub from the secretary's perspective. So we'll go through setting up a show. I'm going to show off a bunch of the features that the platform has. And feel free to let us know if you have any questions. If you'd like to see something, if you're not sure if something's supported, let us know as we go and we'll get those questions answered. But we'll get right started. So when you're a secretary, you have access to the secretary portal of the website. And from here, you can see all the shows that you currently have. And then you have the option to create a new show. So let's do that. And we'll call this the Talking Chickens show. Then you have the option of including the junior show, including a pigeon show. We'll do both of those. And then you can click create show. So now we've got a show here. The first thing we're going to want to do is set up our publishing information. And so this has all the dates, the locations, and things like that. So the show date we'll put for 2 weeks from now. Since we're just going to do it once off, we don't need to set a show end date. And then just for the heck of it, we'll set our coop-in date for the day before. When you set this up for your show, you'll want to set those to your actual values. And those are shown on the exhibitor portal when exhibitors go to check out your show. Then you can put the address for your show. So we'll do the Talking Chickens podcast here. Again, for your show, you'd want to put in your actual show info. Then we can go down and put in our contact information. And this shows up as the show secretary contact information. So you can put a club email or whatever you'd like to there. So I'll do the Poultry Hub. You can also add a link to your show book or your club group page. You can just put that in here. I'm just going to use the Poultry Hub as the link there. And then you can add a description for your show. And after we go through this, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the exhibitor side. So here we're going to have the Talking Chickens podcast demo show. All right, so we've got our publishing information pretty much set up. Now, we want people to be able to find this show. There's a couple of ways we can do that. We have the option to make our show public. So once we turn this on, it will show up for anybody who's looking through the Poultry Hub and browsing the shows. We can also create a special URL to get to our show so that we don't have to broadcast our show to the entire public. So here we'll do Talking Chickens. And then we'll check to see if this is available. And it's available, so we can claim it. So when you claim a URL, in this case, we have poultryhub.com/talkinchickens, you have that for a full year. And that means that if you wanted if you have an annual show, for instance, the Poultry Congress, we used NEPC as the short URL so that next year we can make the new show NEPC and all of our QR codes, all of our links, all of that just stay the same. So now we can go over to poultryhub.com/talkinchickens and we'll see what the exhibitors get to see. So here we haven't set up the registration dates yet, but we have the show date is March 4th, coupon March 3rd. We've got our location, our contact information, and our show pricing. This will get populated once we do that on the next page. So like I said before, we can also make this show public. If we do that, then anybody that's browsing the shows will see the Talking Chickens podcast or the Talking Chickens show show up there. So let's set some registration dates. So we'll start now and we'll end them in 2 weeks from now. Next, we are going to go through the entry rules and structures. So this first portion has some configuration for how birds are allowed to be shown. So for instance, we have double coop settings here. So you can do large fowl only. You can allow large fowl and bantam double coops or no double coops at all. We also have trios supported here. If you don't want to have trios in your show, you can just untick this button and there'll be no trios. We'll leave it on for now. We have the trio championships. So the default behavior is to just have trios in the age grouping. So you have the cocks, hens, cockerels, pullets, old trio, young trio. We can enable this to allow the competition of trios. Some clubs do best awards for best of class trios. Some do best of division trios. Some do just best in show trios. And you can configure that over on this side. And this is how the clerking interface determines where to start judging trios. I like using the class level because it keeps the number of trios that you're comparing against relatively small. Then on the left, we have pigeons, if we allow pigeons for the show. And we support 3 different class systems for pigeons. There's a single pigeon class. There's a 3-class system, which is very common in New England. And then there's the full NPA classification with all 10 different classes. We also have the ability to hide waterfowl. If you're one of the New England shows that's not allowed to have waterfowl exhibited, you can click this and then exhibitors will not be able to enter waterfowl. This does allow bantam ducks just by toggling this top one. So if you want to make sure that there's no bantam ducks either, then you'll have to also toggle this toggle. The next thing we can do is set up the show colors. By default, it starts with just a single show with both open and junior. If you want to have a 2-color show, you can just click add color and add a color there. And you can put some notes in if you had one show as like a Friday show, one day show as a Saturday show. You can do that there. We also have some shows that don't expect birds to be entered across the entire show. So if you wanted to do something like that, you can click this allow birds to be entered in a single show. And that'll allow exhibitors to enter into one of the 2 shows instead of having to automatically be entered to both. Another thing you can do is set a show up. Maybe you have a double open show, but just a single junior show. And you can do that here by unclicking junior. So for this, we're just going to do a single show. Keep it pretty simple. The next tab is for exhibitor visibility. So by default, we have it set up so that exhibitors can only find their exhibitor number and coop numbers after checking in. And to set that up, you just toggle this button. Otherwise, their exhibitor confirmations and their exhibitor portal will both have their exhibitor numbers. It's up to the secretaries how they want to do that. Some secretaries like to have exhibitors come into the front office before they start cooping birds in. Other times, they want exhibitors to just leave them alone. The last option down here is to release the coop numbers. This is used in our My Results page, which will go into more details in the second episode. But for now, we'll turn that on. Then you can also specify what level of scoring is shared. The default is none. For the Congress, we kept it at class placing. Everyone was commenting on the live scoring. And by setting it to class placing, that means up to class results will be shown in live scoring. If you don't care if exhibitors know who won the show before the final announcements, you can set it to show placing. If you don't want any scores to be shown to exhibitors without them going in and looking at the coop tags themselves, you can set scoring sharing level to none. We'll keep it at class for now. I think that's a pretty good happy medium. The next tab is the show secretaries. We originally had it set up so that only people on the platform denoted as secretaries are show or can be put as a show secretary. I've changed it now so that the only secretary requirement is that the person creating the show is a secretary. So if you want to create a show, you need to reach out to me and I will make you a secretary on the platform. Once you're a secretary, you can create a show like I just did, and then you can add secretaries. So we can add Matt as a secretary for this show. And just like that, Matt now has access to this show. You'll also notice it sends off a notification email so that your secretaries know that you've added them. The next thing we can check out is the show status. Right now, this is pretty empty because we don't have any birds or exhibitors entered. Then at the bottom, you'll see this finalize show button. We'll talk more about that on the next episode. This button rearranges all of your coop tags so that they go in numerical order. It sets up a couple other things for this show, and it's pretty important.
And you'll do that, Ethan, when all the entries are closed, right?
Exactly. Yep. So you want to wait till the very end of the show before you finalize it. Usually right before you print off coop tags, I would say. The next thing we get to is the pricing and fees. So this is where we set up the cost for the show. So we have the standard is everybody has the same entry fee, trio fee, double coop fee. So if we do a $5 entry fee, a $12 trio fee, and a $5 double coop fee. One thing to note is the double coop fee is in addition to the entry fee. So if your entry fee was $5 and you wanted a double coop bird to cost $7, then you would just put $2 as the double coop fee. It's the additional amount beyond the original entry fee. And that's because we also added on to trios. If you have a male in your trio double coop, then the double coop fee will be added to your trio fee. We also support separate pricing for juniors. So if we wanted a junior show with different pricing, we can set that up here. And then we get into the custom fees. So suppose you wanted to have a fixed cleaning fee every time. We set the fee type to required, and that means that every single exhibitor will have that fee attached. And then we can click add fee. We can enable it or disable it if we want it there or not. We can also add a one-time fee like a sale area. And we can make that, I don't know, $75. We also have support for sale cages. And for those, you'll want to do a quantity. And then the secretary just sets the price per quantity. Another thing we can do is accept donations. And for that, we'll do configurable. And that lets the secretary or the exhibitor enter any amount of money. It's basically a custom fee.
Can we also add if they wanted to join the club, like a membership fee?
Yeah, so you could do a club membership. And that would be a one-time fee, and maybe that's $25. And so you can add a bunch of these fees however you see fit. We also have support for early bird discounts. So if we want to have an early bird entry discount, we can set that up here. So we'll call that early bird. We'll set it to auto mode, and we'll do a 50-cent discount per bird, and we'll have that end 1 week from now. And so this means when someone enters online, the discount will automatically be applied to their registration for them. The next thing we can set up is PayPal. So we'll check this accept PayPal payments to show that the show accepts PayPal. And then we enter our PayPal account email. So in this case, we'll use the poultryhub1@gmail.com. So if we just did that, the exhibitors could register, they could pay us with PayPal, but the system hasn't been configured to understand those payments coming in. So all of our payments will just be shown as pending because we won't be able to confirm the payment status. If we click enable automatic payment confirmations, then we automatically, the payments will automatically be marked as complete. So there is a couple of steps we have to do to set this up, and we've got them detailed down here under enable IPN and PayPal. The main thing you're going to want to do is log into your PayPal account. And then you're going to click your icon in the top right corner once we get logged in and click settings. And then you're going to go down to website payments, instant payment notifications, and click update. Now, for most people, you'll see message delivery disabled. I already have it turned on for this. If you want to turn it on, you're going to click edit settings. You're going to add the URL from this page under notification URL, and then you're going to click receive IPN messages enabled. Then you can click save. The URL here does not matter at all. You can put any URL that you choose. We provide a custom IPN address for those to be sent to. So now our PayPal is fully set up for this account or for this show. The next thing is we determine how the PayPal fees are handled. PayPal usually charges, I believe, 3% plus a 35 or 40 cent base fee. So you can choose to have the show absorb the fee. That means no PayPal fees are added to PayPal payments at all. You can have a fixed fee per transaction. Some shows like to just charge $5 PayPal fee on any registration, or you can do it by percentage. If you do a percentage, I'd recommend around 4% just to cover that extra 35 or 40% base fee. Once we're done with that, we can go to the show financials page, and this is empty for now. As we get more entries in, this will start to get populated, and we'll see a detailed breakdown of all of the money that's coming in. It'll also show us our expected income, the reported income, as well as a shortfall if we're short some. And then similarly, we have cash flow, so we can get a summary of how much money each exhibitor has paid, if we've refunded them any money, and things like that. The last page is for judging assignments. So here we can add what Mike and Matt as judges. And then over on this part, we can assign clerks and configure the judge assignments. And we'll do that next week once we have some more entries in. So now for anyone on the broadcast, feel free to navigate over to poultryhub.com/talkingchickens, and you can create a registration for this show. You don't have to pay any money. Just when it asks if you want to pay with PayPal, just click pay later. And I will put the link in the comments. So you should be able to go to this link and register for the show. And the registrations will come in on the exhibitors page. So here we can go to exhibitors. We don't have any exhibitors created yet, but let's create one. So we can click new exhibitor, and that'll automatically bring us in. We can see the $5 cleaning fee that we put has already been applied. And let's call this exhibitor number 1. And then we'll just update it. If they're a junior, we can click junior entry. We're going to do an open entry for now. Then we can go over to bird entries, and let's say they have some Cornish, maybe blue Cornish, and then we can just enter the quantity for them, click enter, and we've just entered those 3 birds. Now, suppose they had a non-standard breed. Maybe they have a project breed or something. We had some people exhibiting Belgian liege fighters at the Congress. So if we wanted to do that, we could type in Belgian liege fighter, and we'll see that nothing's coming up in the search bar because it's not a breed that we know about. So if we want to add it to the show, we'll click create Belgian liege fighter, and that'll give us one more chance to search for breeds that have a similar name. Maybe we misspelled something, and then we can click create Belgian liege fighter. Once we do that, we can choose which classes we want this breed to be in. In this case, we'll just do NRB large fowl. If it's a variety or a breed that has no variety, you can click no variety. If it's something like Biafelders, Lackenvelders, Vorwerks, anything like that that doesn't have a variety, you just click this button. Otherwise, we'll click confirm. So now our show has its own Belgian liege fighter breed. Then we can choose
We got a question there before we go any farther, Ethan. I think Bill Lotus asked about, are there any other options other than PayPal? I think from the PayPal portal, you can use a regular credit card, can't you?
I'm not sure. In the long run, we want to have support for credit cards and Venmo and things like that, but that requires going through some trials, and we just haven't had time to do that yet. Once this gets bigger, we'll have more time to be able to do that.
Okay.
So like I was saying before, we just created a new breed, so there's no varieties for that because we just created the breed. So if, let's say we wanted blue, we can create blue. We'll go to a similar portal, give us another chance to see if that is a variety that we just misspelled. We can click create blue, choose which class it belongs in. And this is for like Leghorns, if you have a breed that spans multiple classes, and then you can click confirm. So now we have blue Belgian liege fighters in the large fowl. So we can enter some of these, and let's do a couple trios. Now we see down here we've got 1 cock, 1 hen, 1 old trio, 1 young trio. Another thing we can do is we have some non-recognized varieties already in our system. For instance, if we go to Brahmas, we already have gold Brahmas in our system, even though they're not a recognized breed. So for large fowl, we have 2 different ways we can double coop. We can use the double coop males or just regular double coop. Regular double coop will double coop every bird that's been entered. So here I entered a cock, a hen, a cockerel, a pullet, 1 old trio and 1 young trio, 10 birds total. So that's going to be 10 double coops. But if we did something, if we only wanted to double coop the males, suppose we had some silver spangled Hamburgs and we only wanted to double coop the males, we can check this double coop males button, and then just the cocks and cockerels will be double cooped. So in this case, we have the 1 cock, 1 cockerel, the cock from the old trio, and the cockerel from the young trio. Only 4 birds would be double cooped there. And if we go back to our exhibitor info and payment, we see here we've got 13 birds entered, we've got 6 trios, and we have 14 birds being double cooped with our cleaning fee. If that exhibitor wanted some add-ons, we can click the add add-ons button. Maybe they wanted a sale area. Maybe they made a $50 donation to the club. Maybe they wanted a club membership. And we can see the final total here, as well as how much money they've spent.
I guess also they could click that check or a cash payment box, and they could mail a check in or pay at the show if that's acceptable.
Yeah,
So
so
thinking of ways around, if they didn't want to use PayPal, they could actually do all this and then send a check in, and then the secretary will mark it paid when they get it.
yep, exactly. And so this exhibitor is exactly what an exhibitor that registered online looks like. They have the same interface. And let's say that they sent in a check for $300. We can type in $300 check and maybe check number, I don't know, 1432. And then you'll see here that they've paid 300 and that they still owe 62. When we go back to the main exhibitor list, we can see that their total due is 362. They've paid 300. Their balance is 62, and they're partially paid. We can go back in as many times as we want. The other thing we have is we can look at the testing paperwork. So if they've sent in their paperwork with their entry, we can just click collected testing paperwork, and that'll make more sense once we go into the check-in page. So that's how exhibitors are created. I'm going to show you what we see as an exhibitor. So over here, we have the Talking Chicken show, and I'm going to register for this show. So it automatically pre-populates all of our data, all of our information. And let's do some Wyandottes. So I'll do Wyandotte, partridge, and let's do one cock, one pullet, and one old trio. We'll add those to our entry. We can click continue to review. It'll show us our subtotal. So here we've got a cock and a pullet. We can add any add-ons that we want to. And then you'll see here we get an early bird discount of $1, the cleaning fee of $5. And if we wanted to pay with PayPal, there would be a 56-cent processing fee. Then we can click submit registration, and then we can just click pay later. And now we see we have a registration here. When we go back to our exhibitor page from the secretary portal, we see we now have this yellow exhibitor registration. We can click review. We can look, we see all the exhibitor information. We see the bird entries, and we see the itemized breakdown. And then we can click approve and create exhibitor. Now, let's say I was an exhibitor and I said, oh crap, I really wanted to enter a trio in addition to those two birds. I can just go back to my exhibitor portal and enter an old trio, click save bird, and then we'll see here that I now have a trio entry. Click save changes, and now we see pending update. And if we click in here, we can see, oh, there's an update to the Wyandottes. Now, when we look at the exhibitor page here, we can see, oh, there's an amendment to Ethan Pullen's entry. If we click review, we'll see that he originally entered one cock, 0 hen, 0 cockerels, one pullet, and no trios. But now he's attempting to add one old trio. And then we can just click approve. And now if we go to the exhibitor, we can see he has a cock, a pullet, and an old trio. We can also, instead of looking at birds as a group, we can look at them individually. If we needed to make the change to a single bird, suppose we needed to change this to a hen, we can do that very easily through the single view. This is very helpful for day of show changes. Someone might say, hey, coop number 35, I entered a pullet. It was supposed to be a cock. So you can just go in, change it, click save changes, and then it automatically updates. And it's very important that the exhibitor's birds match what's actually shown in the show, because the clerking interface is built around these birds that we have entered here.
So they can't just go in and mark tags. They need to go to the secretary to make sure they get the change made, which is what they should be doing anyway.
Exactly. Yep. The secretary needs to verify the changes. What we did at the Congress was we would, anytime someone brought in a coop tag that needed a change, we would have them bring the coop tag to us. We would make the change online, and then one of the secretaries would initial the coop tag as a denoting, saying that the secretary approved this change. In the future, as this gets bigger and bigger, it's possible that birds might not get judged if they didn't get changed properly with the secretary beforehand. We were a little more lenient because this was our first show. It's also very easy to change this. We had the clerks had my number, and if a coop tag had a handwritten change on it, they would just send a photo, and we would just go in and say, okay, exhibitor 1, we need to change coop number 20 from a cockerel to a pullet. And just like that, it takes a couple of seconds to make that change.
We'd have a question come across. What if the show does not want to make day of show changes? They don't have to do it, I guess.
Then the secretary doesn't have to do it. I haven't been to a show that didn't allow a couple of changes here and there, but if your show doesn't want to, then you don't have to.
I said my only concern with that would be the birds would be out of order. So if that was a cock and then you made it a pullet, so it's going to actually be in with the cocks now. So that's going to cause some clerking confusion, which it has in the past with just manual changes. But
the nice part is the clerk will see, oh, there's a cock here on my clerking thing, on my clerking interface that's I don't see here. Let me check and see where that cock might be. Whereas if someone just scratches and changes it without moving birds around, that bird might just get completely missed.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how we do our exhibitors. Another thing we'll see here on this exhibitor is testing paperwork. So on my account, when I created this registration here, I've already set up my testing paperwork, which we can do. If you go to home, you can go to, I'll put the instructions for that in a video on my YouTube page and on my Facebook page, but you can set up your testing info and paperwork on your portal, and then it shows up to the secretary. So you set the testing date, the expiration date, what type of test. There's NPIP, PT, and AI right now. If you need different types of testing, let me know and we can add those in. And then we'll see the secretary can click this button and it'll pull up the testing paperwork and they can approve or reject it. This paperwork was approved by me on November 6th. So you'll also be able to see when it's been approved by secretaries. So let's say someone from the Congress showed again this month. They could say, okay, this was approved by Cheryl. Let me take a look. Yep, looks good. They're all set to go. And the reason we have it set up this way is so when we go to check birds in, we can see the current balance for each exhibitor. We can see, have we collected their paperwork or do they already have it submitted? And then we can check them in. And so the check-in page is pretty useful. And this is the part where exhibitors aren't able to see their exhibitor number until they've checked in. If you look at this account here, you'll see that we have an approved entry, but there's no exhibitor number there. The second that I approve or check in this exhibitor, they'll now see that they're exhibitor number 2. So it makes it super helpful for them to find their coops and things like that. The next thing we have is the birds tab. This has a list of all the birds in the show. You can filter by open or junior. You can search for a specific class, for a specific breed. You can look for varieties. You can scope it down as much as you need to. This isn't super useful, but it's nice if you want to just scroll through and make sure that everything as a whole looks correct. Next thing is the awards. Every show secretary knows that the awards ceremony is the most stressful part of the event. Everybody wants to get home, and this is the time where an error is very critical. There have been shows where mistakes have been made and some exhibitors got very upset. This makes it easy. You can click add award, and you can do this ahead of time. You can do this months before your show. You can look at the award types. Here we have show awards and trio awards. So we'll just do show awards for now. And let's say we want to do the best in reserve of both shows. So we want 2 places. We can add notes for them if we wanted to. Like maybe we had $100 prize for first place or best in show, and maybe $50 for reserve in show. And then we can click create awards. And now we have 2 awards here. We have best in show and reserve in show for both open and junior. Once we have birds entered in this show and we've placed the best and reserve of show, that data will be shown in here. So you can just quickly read through your awards. We can also do class awards. If we want to do just the show awards for a class, and suppose we just want the best in class there, and we can click create awards. And now we've got awards for every single class. Another thing we can do is we can print out Avery labels for those awards. So if you click that button, it'll show the award name, any notes you've attached with it, and then down below we'll have the breed, variety, age, and exhibitor. So instead of having to pre-write all of your envelopes, you can just separate your envelopes by dollar amount, print off these labels, and then just stick those onto the envelopes of the corresponding dollar amount. If you want to still use your labels, if you want to still use your handwritten envelopes and don't want to go through the printing of labels, you can also print off a table, and this will have all of the awards, the bird that won them, and any notes you've attached with it. If someone sponsored an award, you can put that in the notes as well. So those are the show awards. We also have special awards. Some breed clubs like to have an overall best of breed or a best any other variety. So you have support for that. I know Cochin's International, they like to do a best overall. So you can click Cochin, and then maybe that's a $5 award. We can also do best AOV. So best AOV is the best bird out of all of the best of varieties, except for blacks, whites, or the best of breed and reserve of breed. So if we had, for instance, Cochin's, and best of breed was a black and reserve of breed was a blue, the best AOV would be all other varieties other than black, white, and blue, and the best out of those birds.
I know the Silky Club does one that's called Best and Reserve Non-Standard Variety. We would be able to plug that in ahead of time as well.
Yeah, we can probably do the best non-standard variety. I don't think we'll have to figure out how we handle that, but I think that's possible.
That's pretty common in all their show reports, just because I know from judging, I got to pick it all the time. So
that's good to know. So that's how we configure our show awards. Next, we have the printables page. This has essentially anything you might want to print about your show. So we've got the show census. There's 2 different formats. The first one is a tabbed in explanation of the show. So we start at the highest level. The open show, there's 36 birds. It has them broken down by individuals, trios, and double coops. Then we get them broken down at the division level. So we have 8 bantams or 28 large fowl. Then it goes by class. Then you have by breed, variety, and even the individual ages, as well as the double coops if you need them. This is a pretty good view. I prefer the open table or the table view better. So this starts with a summary by class. So it has the number of individual birds in each class with the number of trios and the number of double coops. And then it breaks them down by breed. So in the Cornish, there were 3 Cornish, 1 cock, 1 hen, 1 cockerel, and those were all blues. Same thing with AOCCL. And then in the RCCL, we see a similar thing here. If we go down to the Continental, we can see we have 10 birds total. We have 4 double coops. We have 1 cock total, 1 double coop. Out of the Hamburgs, we have 10 birds total, 4 double coops. And this will be a lot more useful as there are more and more birds in the show. And so this was extremely helpful in setting up the Congress They were able to set up the show without even having the coop tags, really. They could just go through the census. They knew exactly how many holes they needed. They knew exactly where those holes needed to be. They knew exactly where the double coops needed to be, so that the second the coop tags were ready, they were already hanging tags. We will also print off the display specials. So right now we haven't done any judging, so there's no points. But once the judging is in, this will automatically calculate the points for the displays, and it will give you a detailed breakdown of each of those displays. So there's no more need to hand calculate your display totals. This will do that all for you and add those to your AVA APA report. If you want to make sure you have a backup, new technology can fail sometimes. You also have the ability to print off your clerk sheets. So here we're printing off our open show clerk sheets, and this is a very standard layout. You have the classes broken down by breed, variety, age, with some lines to write down the awards on them. And the clerking sheets are very smart. They won't split up a breed if a breed will fit on a single page. It'll try not to have multiple breeds on the same page if one breed takes up more than a full page. That way you can just hand off a single breed's clerk sheets to the clerk. They can hand them in and then bring them back and be done. Also, classes are never split between pages. So it's designed to be very clerk and secretary friendly if you decide not to use the online clerking. We can also, at the end of the show, we can print off populated clerk sheets. So these will have all of the awards written out as if the clerk did it by hand. If you like to have clerk sheets for your records.
This one, we'll stop you for a second because Donna brought up a good point. She said, well, those special words come up on the clerk interface, and I think that's one of the golden features is that does, yes.
Yes. So we'll do this more next time, but there's been a specials award button, and it currently just says best or overall best of breed and AOV. We're going to work to, if we have requests for different special awards, we can add those into the platform. Those are just the main ones I've heard so far.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, Jim. I know when I was talking to Ethan originally, every question that I had on my list, he answered. So, yeah, he's thought of a lot of things. And what we talked earlier this week, one of the things that's golden is he was a show secretary. He's a chicken guy, and that's what we needed for somebody to write this program. Someone who understands the whole process and all the problems. And the good thing about it is as we find things that maybe we didn't think about or come up with, we can add them as well, like this AOV thing.
This project also started about 10 years ago. The very first iteration of this I had started it about 10 years ago while I was still in high school. And so we also have exhibitor lists. We have the standard name, phone, address. We also have what I call full, where it shows a breakdown of the breeds exhibited. A lot of people like to be able to see what breeds a person's exhibited. We also have the full with junior addresses. Normally, in the standard and full, junior addresses and phone numbers will be removed. But if you need to send a full address or a full report to some club or something, we have that available here. The next thing is the exhibitor add-ons. So we can look at the exhibitor add-ons by fee. So this page here, this tells you every single exhibitor that's purchased a sale area and how many they've purchased, how many sale cages were purchased, donations, everything like that, club memberships. All of those are in this single report here. We also have the ability to print on add-on labels. So these are useful for like sale cages. If you had a bunch of sale cages entered, you can print off, you can click sale cages, click print labels. We don't have any right now, but if there were some, it would print them off in quarter sheets, and you can just hang those right on the sale coops. They have, I'll show you what they look like for the sale area just so we can see. Maybe. Whoops. So we'll have some of those. Once we get some sale cages on, I'll show you what those look like. They have a QR code for the phone and the email so that your spectators can just use the QR code and get in contact with the owners of the birds. They were a really big hit at the Congress. We also have a trio tour, so that'll list off all of the trios by open and junior. This is useful when you're going through and judging trios in the end if you want a list for the superintendent.
Yeah, that's golden in my mind, as I know what a pain it is to go as a judge and as a show secretary and as an exhibitor to go try to find all those trios when you need to do that. And usually it's at the end of the day. So that's great that you've got that list.
Yeah, the next thing is the coop tags. So we don't have any coop tags set up for this show. So we'll go to the template manager and get those set up. The first option is to import a template. You can import a template from another show. For instance, I was a secretary at the Congress, so I can import one of the coop tags I created there. Or you can look at the public library. Right now, we just have one, but we'll start with that. So this is a very generic coop tag. You can put your show name, the date. It's got exhibitors. It's got the show open or junior. It's got the color for the show. This green dot here, we've selected show only on junior birds. So this green dot will only show up on the junior coop tags. We have a similar thing down here with a red dot for trios so that we can very easily tell which coop tags are for trio birds. We also have a special button up here, color age text. If you click that in, that will color code the age text on it. So here it's a hen, so it's pink. Cockerels are green, pullets are orange, and cocks are blue. You can also take this logo and put your own club logo there or a sponsor logo. We had the HelloFresh logo there as a sponsor for the Congress. Another nice part about this is right now we have use real data checked, which means each of these is essentially a real coop tag that's going to get printed. If we uncheck that, it'll go through all of your birds and find the longest possible string for each of these. So for instance, the largest breed we have by characters is the Belgian Liege Fighter. So this is useful to make sure that all of your inputs are big enough. And so here we have a class. And on the left here for options, we have a bunch of raw fields. So like the breed, the variety, the class. We also have them all with labels if you want to have everything formatted. So for instance, the coop here, this is a coop with a label. The exhibitor is the exhibitor with a label and things like that. The sky is really the limit with this. One thing to note is the more items you have on your coop tag, the longer it does take to generate them, but it shouldn't be more than 5 or 10 minutes no matter what you put on. The other useful thing on this template is the double coop. We've checked include with double coop, so it's only so it will only be on there if the bird is a part of a double coop. That makes it really helpful when you're setting up the show and things like that. And so when we're done, we can click Save Template, and then we can go back to printables. And now if we look at our coop tags, we have our coop tags here. We can click Generate Coop Tags, and this will generate the coop tags for the birds we already have. And it's generating. You can go off and do something else. And then when it's done, you can click Download Zip. And if we look here, we have a folder with all of our individual classes. So if we look here, these are the white Cornish or the AOCCL coop tags for the white show. We have RCCL, and you'll see that red circle to denote the trio. And for the Congress, we just sent these over to Staples and had them cut them in quarters for us. A problem that a lot of people had when they sent off their coop tags to be cut was their coop tags would go 1, 2, 3, 4 on the first sheet. And that means that once they're cut into quarters, it's completely out of order. To fix that on the tag order up here, you can just click column major, which means that all of the top left coop tags will be in order, top right will be in order, bottom left will be in order, and then bottom right will be in order. We used that for the Congress, and we did not have to sort a single coop tag. So that saved Brian and Joel hours of time for the show setup. The last part is the reports. So here you can generate reports based on award type. If you want to exclude the trio awards, you can just click that. If you want to exclude the show awards, you can click that. You can specify what awards you care about. So for a breed club, they usually only care about the breed, variety, and age awards. You can go in and click breeds. And let's say we wanted a report for the Wyandotte Club of America. We can deselect them all. We can type Wyandotte. We choose the number of places we want to go. Click generate awards report. We don't have any awards because we haven't done any judging, so there's nothing there. But once the judging is done, we'll show you these reports in more depth. And that'll be on the next episode.
Well, I guess one thing we can say, if you want to come to the next episode, log into the Poultry Hub, sign up for this show, and you can actually make entries. Don't pay for them because we don't want their money. But you can say pay later and do a bunch of entries just to see how it works. Yeah. And then we can do the judging on the next show. We'll have some stuff that we can let people log in as a clerk, and you can see how the actual clerking works. It's kind of tied to that coop number is very important. And that's why we wanted to make sure if you have a change that you let that show secretary know, because that coop number is just like a band number on a bird. It's what's tracking that bird all the way through this process. So it once we get to the next, I think that's March 6th, we'll be back on with Ethan and go through that. But we'll actually get to see it's really neat because I got to see some of it. But the actual clerking thing that shows up on the pads or phone, or if you don't want to do that, you can actually still do the paperwork. You'll just have to go back and enter those papers in as they come through. But believe me, that online clerking thing is golden. Plus, one of the features of this, the exhibitors are a customer, and it makes a better exhibitor experience because you can actually look in on the hub and see how things are going and see the placing. So I discourage not using that feature because I think that's one of the great selling points.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work since the Congress. So for the Congress, we just had live scoring. Since then, we have it broken down by breed. So if you just care about the Wyandottes, you can go to the Wyandotte breed page and get live updates there. If you just care about the overall awards, you can go to the overall show awards page and get those updates there. If you only care about your own birds, you can go to the My Results page and get those live results there. We've done a lot for the exhibitor experience in these last couple of weeks.
We got a couple questions. So, hi, Neil Mahaffey, our buddy from North Carolina. He said if a club sells apparel, is there a place they could put that on there for them? Like if they wanted to buy T-shirts and hats on that initial entry fee, they could reserve them there?
Yeah, so if we go back to the pricing and fees, we could add a custom fee for a hat, and maybe that's a $25 fee. And then exhibitors can just go in and add the hat to their registration.
Yep. Great. And then the other question is Donna's got will the cage cards print on pre-perforated cardstock? I think it'll print on any kind of stock. That's kind of up to you. I think expense-wise, that was the purpose of just using the 4 on a page on an 8.5 by 11, because that's going to be your cheapest printing cost, I would think. I think if you went to perforated or heavier cardstock, or I know when we did pigeon shows years ago, we had some that had the hole already punched in them. That's going to up your costs. So I think you can, as long as you've got the stock, you can print on anything. And you don't
have the paper and the printer that'll print on it. Yep. We just send the PDF itself.
I hope that answers your questions.
Are there any other questions? Anything anyone's curious about? If you come up with something after the fact, reach out. I'm on Facebook. I've got my email on here. You can reach out and we'll answer your questions as best as we can.
And you can get to Matt or Mike, and we'll get
Yep.
it to you. And if we can't answer them, but it's definitely a game changer. That's what we've been saying all along since we first seen this and had Ethan on the very first time. And it got a great trial run at the Congress because you're talking about one of the larger shows in the country, and I think Brian said it was like 99.5% on. So the few hiccups that they had, he's already fixed. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, next episode we'll go into we'll get registrations in. We'll show the approval process for registrations. We'll show the amendment process. We'll show how we do AOVs. We'll show how we do NRBs. Then we'll also get people clerking on it. We'll show how to finalize a show. We'll show how to print off the coop tags. We'll go through the show reports and all the different live scoring options we have available. So you do not want to miss the next episode. This one was more of the boring secretary side of how to run a show. The next episode is going to be for the exhibitors. This is going to be what you can expect when you go to a show that's hosted on the Poultry Hub.
And I encourage everybody, whether you're watching it live with us now or you're going to see it on the replays once we get it up to, it'll be on Facebook. Once the live's over, it'll stay there and we'll pin it, but it'll also be on YouTube and Spotify. If you come up with any questions, or if you see it and you want to play with it, get on there, and this show's for you. So you can go on there and enter anything you want, and we'll work with that when we come back. But the more stuff we have in there, the more we'll be able to do on the next episode.
Yep.
I know I'm going to get on there, load my papers and everything just to see how it goes.
I can't wait to see how many birds we got to wash. I can't wait till Matt gets entering.
All the ones that got to be washed will be at Mike's house.
Thank you. So just partridge Chanticleers, huh?
Yeah, just Chanticleer. Anybody else got any questions? I think we're gonna thank you, Neil. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. So, I did want to mention we were at Alabama last weekend for the Alabama Banner Club, and our buddy Keith Wagoner got his, what's that called now, Mike? He's
he is the Lifetime Achievement Award in the American Bantam Association,
which is a great accomplishment in the American Bantam Association, and couldn't happen to a better guy. He's a master breeder without having all the titles, and a great guy to boot. So I was glad to hear that Keith won that, and we had a blast in Alabama, had a good show, and enjoyed being down there in 60-degree weather when it was below zero here. So
it was great, and I had messaged Terry on when we were driving back, and I said I have had so much fun. We did judge Friday night. Saturday, we took 2 partridge Chanticleers, Matt took, and we spent all day. I have never laughed that much. We just played. I mean, we actually, we were like 2 old guys just playing with a bunch of other old guys, and just laugh and carried on. And it just reminded me of why we do this. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, we went to show. We took 2 partridge, and of course they're best in reserve, and they're real nice birds. But you don't go with the expectations of doing anything except showing and just hanging out. And it was absolutely fantastic, and had a long chat with Mr. Wagner, and we've known him for years, Matt and I, and no one has ever been more deserving, because you name the breed, you name the color, and it doesn't take too long till he'll show you what they're supposed to look like. It's excellent. It's in his lineage,
great time. We've got a couple of weeks off, and then we go to Neil's show down in North Carolina, and then the following week we're right back to Dalton, Georgia, to do the Dalton show. So, and that's going to wrap us up for a while. And I know Amanda's on here, so we're looking forward to this at the Dayton Fancy Feather Club, and then a Marietta show. Southeastern Ohio poultry breeders will be using the Poultry Hub software as well. So I hadn't planned to go because I really just don't have anything to show, but I'm going to make the run down there just to check everything out. So everybody in Ohio will get to see it there at Marietta, and they're probably entering now because it's I don't know if it's up, but is it live, Ethan?
Which show?
Southeast Ohio poultry breeders.
It's on there. I'm not sure if they've opened it up for registrations yet.
It's not till the end of March. It's the fourth weekend in March, so they may have not opened it up yet. But hey, if you're going to Southeast Ohio and you want to try this out, you're going to get a chance to use it and see it in action. And I know there was lots of show secretaries messaged me about this, so this is going to be we'll have it recorded and uploaded as well, so you can go back to it. But any questions, get them to Ethan, Mike, or I, and we'll get them up there and try to answer everything. I tell you, he's really stumped me because I had a million questions, but I don't have that many anymore. So,
I got one more thing here. Bill, loads, off the topic. Any update on bans? Yes. There was a manufacturer. They had a shortage of material. Correct, Matt?
Material, and then a tariff battle. They were made last week, so currently we're just waiting on when we get them. So it's just they're shipped is all I can tell you, and they expect them before the end of the month.
Yep. So as soon as they get there, Kevin, he'll be doing his magic there, and
I think Kim's going over there for a couple of days to help get that, because we sell 60,000 leg bands a year, so that's a lot of leg bands, and you count them suckers one at a time. So
yeah.
They come in, if you buy them by the 100, it's easy because they come in strings of 100. But if it's less than that, then they have to kind of break them down and send them. But they'll get on that. Also, if you've used them, and like I've used them, and you miss band or you don't get them on one, you can actually take a pair of side cutters and cut those and still use them. Yeah. I do it all the time. So that's not a big thing. It can be done. They're soft enough plastic. As long as it's not 10 below zero, you can usually cut them without them breaking too much. But I know I used them on the 2 partridge I took last weekend because I didn't have them banded. So they're coming.
Yeah. They're coming, Bill. Beyond our control because they were ordered a long time ago. So yeah, there's not anything we can do about it except get them as soon as they get there, and they'll get them out.
And we switched years ago to a German vendor, which actually was the original vendor that we had when we started selling them, and got away from China because we had so much trouble with that. I think if we'd used the Chinese vendor, we still wouldn't have them. So they're coming.
Matt, what about the did we make that official on the update that we talked about in Birmingham?
Yes. Oh yeah, we do have one more announcement, and we'll get that while we're on here. We'll let Ethan take a break. We got to talk to the management at the Dixie Classic Show in Knoxville, and they had scheduled to have the 2027 ABA National there, and they lost their building this year, and they have been unable to find another building. They're building a new building, but the tentative done date isn't until 2030. So they retracted their national meet bid. So what we done as an executive board last week, we all voted is we're going to move the rotation down. And so the 2027 ABA National will go to the Arkansas show, the Ozark. You have to tell me that.
Heart of the Ozark.
Heart of the Ozark show. So they will be hosting, I think they'll be hosting they will be hosting the 2027 National. The 2028 goes back to Columbus. And then I have to look up the rest of them. They all moved down one except for Columbus. Their date stayed the same. So everybody moved down one, which I think we were placed out to 2023. 2023 is now open. So
33.
Or 33, excuse me. 2033 will be open. We're not going to do anything with that till we hear back from Knoxville, and we're going to run out to the 2032 show and see how it goes there. But that's the only update we had. Get your yearbook ads are out, and I think they've sent out all the paste if you did one last year. If you didn't do one, you should be doing one. So get those in. Her and Kim are working hard on getting that squared away, and it's going to go out in August this year is the goal. We're going to get it out early. We don't have to do
Right.
a standard this year, so that's a good thing. For those doing, I know the first question is going to come up for those doing qualifying meets, or we're trying to schedule your qualifying meet. Get with Mr. Monteith, and if you was planning on going to Knoxville, we can work something else out if we have to. So,
Yep.
we
have that ability.
We have the ability to vote on where we can place a qualifying meet if we have to. So, I know we got several. We got several color varieties coming. We got some breeds coming. So they're all working with him, but get with Paul and he'll work it out. Good thing was Paul was at the show. Mike was at the show. We had Brett Thompson as the director. Kyle Tripp was judging. He's the director. So we had several people there to kind of run it by.
We had that damn black coffee guy that was real greedy and just
went. That guy that was a champion of reserve in all three shows, Chadwick Satterfield. He did really good down there over the weekend. So, yes.
The only other thing I got here is if the 2026 ABA National will be in Lodi, California, the end of January 2027. Okay, so I don't know if we could top last year's auction, but if anybody has birds they would like to donate for the ABA auction in Lodi, California, please get with me. Because I'll start that, but it'll be a while since it's 27, but we'd appreciate it. Pairs and good ones, please. Last year was a fantastic. We had as good of birds in that auction as were in the show at Columbus. They were fantastic, and I thank everybody that did it. And we're going to have to do that again. So there you go. And it's also an election year for the ABA. So if you're not satisfied, it's time to step up.
Yep. And that'll happen. The election will happen in January. So she'll be calling for nominations and people interested in running in probably about October. And then they'll take over April 1st to be my last pass after all these years. I've term limited out. So
there'll be no Maddie.
I can just be on this podcast and bitch.
Yep. I don't know yet if there'll be a mic, but if we know
get those ads in soon. And if you need an ad design, there is none better than Ms. Munden's at design your ad.
Exactly. Thanks, Kim. We're glad you're watching. Get to work. What are you doing dinking around watching us on the video? Come on, ain't you got something to do?
We probably just got done, I would be imagining.
Probably just took a break. Anyway, so that's Ethan. It was great having you here. I can't wait till we get to the second part of this. March 6th, did you say, Matt?
Yeah, March 6th, 6 o'clock, same time. One thing I forgot, because I do have Mr. Dan Castle coming on later in March to talk about the National Hall of Fame Champion Hall of Fames, and those nominations are coming up for that award, which is kind of globally in the United States and Canada. I guess globally in the United States and Canada, at least with people here, they can be nominated for those. And he's going to explain how that works and how to go about nominating and how they pick and all that good stuff. So,
is the 6th of March, is that a Thursday again?
It is on a Thursday. We did it a couple of weeks apart, I think, right? Ethan was
yeah.
You know me, if I got to get on my calendar, I don't know where I'm at.
That's what I don't think I put it on my calendar. That's why I asked.
I've got Ethan on
a little hectic here. Little hectic here at the hatchery.
I'm sorry, it's March 5th on my calendar. Is that right, Ethan?
All right.
Yeah, March 5th.
March 5th. I'm sorry. And then where'd I go with the other one?
Damn.
Yeah, damn. I can't even read my own calendar. That's a bad thing. We'll get Dan's nailed down later because I thought I put it in there, but it's not showing up or I can't see it. So, but Dan will be on. In between, then we're going to have a couple more people. I just got to get them committed.
March 25th at 6:30 p.m.
There we go. You know why? I was in April. Yes, March 25th. So that'll be Dan. And if we get through the national champions, maybe we can ask him some other questions about other things.
Yep, Exactly.
Oh, she's working on her book today, so that's a good deal.
Yep, there it is. All right.
All
So
right, well,
thanks,
everybody
Ethan.
for listening. All the people that were on. We're gonna get out of here.
Bye.